off juice, the most powerful hairspray known to man.
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're counting down our picks for the very best of British comedy.
I'm getting out of here. Don't you try and stop me. Ah!
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Number 30, Friday Night Dinner.
Mouse.
Being forced to visit the parents for dinner can be a bore, but not for the Goodman family, who seem to find themselves in ever-increasingly bizarre situations. While the prank wars between brothers Adam and Johnny is endlessly entertaining, oftentimes it's Dad Martin who absolutely steals the show with his aloofness.
This is a lovely bit of squirrel.
With the occasional knock at the door from characters such as Jim, there's never a shortage of laughs and creative directions that the simple meal can head off to.
Can I just say, this might be the greatest night of my entire life.
Number 29, Little Britain.
It's £1,000 a question.
Let me do it.
I'm not sure.
I want to do it.
Who's on the line?
I am.
While not without its controversies, Little Britain is a sketch show that stands among the greats in its genre. In the early 2000s, you simply couldn't walk 5 steps without hearing someone utter one of its iconic catchphrases. And that really is a testament to how wildly entertaining this show really was.
Computer says no.
With Matt Lucas and David Walliams donning many different personalities, we were gifted with outrageous and unforgettable skits that still hold up over 20 years later. The likes of Carol Beer, Andy Pipkin, and Vicky Pollard are often touted as some of the very best in the sketch comedy formats.
It's not her, it's it.
Oh, can I see it?
No, but, yeah, but, no, but, yeah, but.
Number 28, Toast of London.
So what have I won? What's the award for?
Best actor.
Give it up for Stephen Toast. The show, which centers around the London theatre industry, often goes from eccentric to downright insane. It's this bizarreness and surrealism combined with Matt Berry's utterly brilliant performance that has cemented this as a modern masterpiece.
What are you doing in an unauthorized area?
Oh, I might ask you the same question.
Despite being an insufferable character at times, we're always rooting for Toast to finally get his break in the world of acting, as the cruel situations he finds himself in are an endless source of laughs. It's Berry at his very best, and you owe it to yourself to give this one a watch.
The East End, you say? I wonder what it's like these days.
Number 27, Limmy Show.
It's a kilogram.
But steel's heavier than feathers.
Perhaps one of the lesser-known shows on this list, but easily one of the funniest. Limmy Show is a sketch series starring, who else? Limmy. These sketches range from the surreal to the utterly absurd, and most, if not all, have mastered the extremely rare ability in skit shows of finishing with a solid punchline.
Then after 3 or 4 minutes...
With the likes of Jacqueline McCafferty, DZ, and the unparalleled Falconhoof at the center of some of its sketches, you'll soon find yourself spouting their lines on a daily basis. It's little wonder that Limmy has accumulated such a dedicated audience since the series aired on BBC Scotland.
Jump the chasm!
Okay, you jump the chasm. You make a pitiful jump into the flames.
You better move me!
You're burnt to a cinder. You're dead.
Number 26, Phoenix Nights.
Look at that there, ball pool, look. Where have you got these balls from? Off the roof?
You simply can't go wrong with Peter Kay. In this series, owner Brian Potter is willing to go to extreme lengths to make his Manchester-based club the most popular destination for working men. He is surrounded by a cast of oddball employees and locals who certainly don't make his quest the easiest.
Come and get your black bin bags. They're on offer till December.
But what fuels his determination is the fierce rivalry with fellow club owner Den Perry, a perpetual thorn in his side. The series' mix of wacky and mundane had led it to become a classic among fans who were still holding out hope for that third series.
Get back, you bastard! I'll break your legs!
Number 25, Extras.
Have you thought about who could play the main character?
I'm playing the main character.
While another of his shows is often highlighted as his best, more on that later, Ricky Gervais proved he was not a one-trick pony when this show was released in the mid-aughties. Focusing on actor Andy Millman, we're privy to the goings-on behind the scenes on television series, specifically at first playing extras. But the true highlight of the show is its guest stars, who are mostly A-list actors.
You're not married, you haven't got a girlfriend, and you've never watched Star Trek?
No.
Good Lord.
While you might expect them to play the straight man for comedic purposes, instead they amp up the egos and arrogance, delivering some unbelievably funny moments.
And she was trying to have it off with me.
Oh, well, of course she was. You're bloody gorgeous.
Number 24, Jeeves and Worcester. You knew it was only a matter of time before comedic giants Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie popped up on this list. While we were tempted to feature their sketch show, A Bit of Fry and Laurie, we can't deny the everlasting charm of Jeeves and Worcester.
If you're blue and you don't know where...
Following a rich gentleman and his clearly more competent butler, we see all sorts of highfalutin mishaps, ultimately ending with Jeeves saving the day. The brilliant chemistry between Fry and Laurie is on full display here.
Well, what's wrong with it? Come on, out with it.
Well, sir, if I might make the suggestion, if we are to travel by train, perhaps a simple brown Harris tweed such as this might be more appropriate.
Number 23, are you being served?
I should have something that makes me look a little different from the rest.
Why don't you leave the trousers off then?
A classic British sitcom set in the fictional Grace Brothers department store, this series focuses on the humorous interactions among the store's quirky staff. The show's charm lies in its colourful characters like flamboyant Mr. Humphreys and the stern Mrs. Slocum, whose eccentric personalities drive much of the comedy.
Just my luck.
With its clever wordplay, double entendres, and a light-hearted approach to topics like class, the series skillfully blends farce with social commentary. Are You Being Served's comedic timing and cheeky wordplay make it a beloved staple of British television.
Somebody has to have authority on the floor, and these clothes that I wear symbolize that authority.
Why don't you dress up as Hitler?
Number 22, Derry Girls.
Why is he making that funny noise? He's English, Ola. That's the way they talk.
It could be argued that this show has more heart than any other series on this list. Derry Girls follows a group of friends in Northern Ireland during the 1990s. It captures all the whimsy, awkwardness, and nostalgia of its time period, without alienating younger fans too.
Hands off! What? Back off, you heard me, I'm not messing around with this thing.
These four girls and honorary girl James balance their failing school lives with ridiculous adventures and futile attempts to find love. This, combined with the backdrop of the early days after the Troubles, make for a series that won't just make you laugh, but perhaps even learn something too.
Is he dead? Of course he's not. It's grand.
Number 21, Dad's Army.
Break the seal on the sealed orders and then destroy these instructions.
Set in the fictional seaside town of Walmington-on-Sea, the show follows a ragtag group of amateur soldiers in the Home Guard, tasked with defending Britain from invasion during World War II.
He's a bit continental, isn't he?
Its strength lies in its unforgettable characters, like the pompous Captain Mainwaring and the lovable bumbling Private Pike. The clever writing mixes slapstick humor with poignant moments, showcasing the camaraderie and resilience of ordinary people during tough times.
Well, I wouldn't have dreamt of putting it on, but I mean, she'd hidden my trousers.
Number 20, Absolutely Fabulous.
Shall we light up?
Jennifer Saunders and Joanna Lumley star as Eddie and Patsy, two neurotic and dysfunctional women who happen to be big deals in fashion and media. Based on a French and Saunders sketch, its original run only lasted for 3 series in the early 90s. But it was so enduringly popular that it's been revived numerous times since then, for a total of 5 series, multiple specials, and finally, in 2016, a feature film. It took over 20 years for Jennifer Saunders to decide to finally put Eddie and Patsy to bed, because that's how long it took to run out of material. Subsequently, Ab Fab is comedy gold all the way through.
What do you see when you look in the mirror, darling? Me looking fabulous. What do you see?
Number 19. Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister.
Do you mean rigged?
No. Well, yes.
Throughout the 1980s, the career of fictional politician Jim Hacker was closely followed, as he became a cabinet minister and later the PM. In typical BBC fashion, Hacker's political alignment is never established, but since he rarely gets any policies put in place, this doesn't matter.
Do you know what the civil service is saying about you? No? And that you're a pleasure to work with. That's what Barbara Woodhouse says about her prize-winning spaniels.
Hacker's attempts to represent the public are constantly thwarted by the cabinet's old guard. The recipient of numerous BAFTAs, both Yes Minister and its sequel series have remained popular for decades, spawning international remakes and a stage play that ran on the West End. It was even an inspiration for the next entry on our list.
Still, if I could pull it off, it would be a feather in my cap.
If you pulled it off, Minister, it wouldn't be in your cap anymore.
Number 18, The Thick of It. A scathing look inside the inner workings of Whitehall, Armando Iannucci's most biting satire has certainly stood the test of time.
The best way to cure a paper jam?
I don't know. Kill a kid an hour until it sorts itself out.
The Thick of It follows a group of hapless politicians and their aides as they try to avoid crossing both the public they're meant to represent and Chief Whip Malcolm Tucker. The only sane man surrounded by idiots, Tucker is easily one of Peter Capaldi's most iconic roles.
Smile, be gay. Smile, smile, smile.
Painstaking effort was taken to make the language as colourful as possible, with Ian Martin serving as the show's dedicated swearing consultant to come up with all those memorable insults. Number 17, Black Books.
What's that? What? What are you eating? It's some sort of delicious biscuit. It's a coaster.
Despite owning and managing a bookstore, Bernard Black absolutely despises customers trying to pry him and his precious books apart. Dylan Moran leads with Bill Bailey and Tamsin Gregg as his friends and co-workers, who have more interest in running the shop than Bernard does, as he berates everyone who walks through the doors.
Don't look! I reckon he's got a shooter.
He's 100 years old!
With an all-star cast like that, they couldn't go wrong. The bookshop itself often takes a sideline to the misadventures of the characters, who, among other things, end up house-sitting, partying, and drinking and smoking as much as physically possible. Number 16, Allo Allo. Set during the Axis occupation of France during the Second World War, cafe owner René Artois struggles to keep his business afloat while dealing with the French resistance, the Gestapo, British airmen lost behind enemy lines, and the fact he can't stop himself from sleeping with his waitresses.
But of course I shall sing for him. It is only expected.
Well, that should convince the village that we have at least got some fight left.
Rare for a sitcom at this time, Allo Allo had many overarching plot lines that lasted its entire duration. The stakes are as high as the chaos, and the risk of covering such a tumultuous era of history with a farcical sitcom paid off for seasoned writers Jeremy Lloyd and David Croft. With such a rich premise, it's no wonder over 80 episodes aired.
Listen very carefully. I shall say this only once. What is it you are going to say? I haven't said it yet. If you listen, I will tell you.
The suspense is killing me.
Number 15, Porridge.
Beautiful day.
Oh, lovely.
Unless we can go out later on for a cycle ride.
How entertaining can a sitcom about life in prison be? Well, in the hands of Ronnie Barker, the answer was very. Still adored to this day, Porridge tells the tale of Norman Stanley Fletcher as he navigates life in HMP Slade.
Between you and me, I think he'd be better off running a zoo than a prison.
Oh, well, caged animals, you see, Mr. Barraclough, we're all the same, aren't we?
The show stands out for its sharp writing and witty one-liners, expertly balancing comedy with the stark realities of incarceration. Fletcher's schemes, often involving his naive cellmate, Lenny, provide endless laughs while highlighting the absurdities of the penal system.
Your standards don't include sweaty feet, I notice.
Man who don't sweat in healthy, is he? It's like a dog with a dry nose.
Number 14. Gavin and Stacy.
Hiya!
How you getting on?
Though this sitcom begins by focusing on the long-distance relationship of Gavin, who lives in Essex, and Stacey, who lives in South Wales, it quickly opens up to look at all their friends and family members. The real central relationship is the will they won't they of Smithy and Netta, played by writer-creators James Corden and Ruth Jones, but the actual jokes come from the most ordinary sources.
Sorry, Stace, this is not meant for the delicate ears of a young lady like yourself.
Don't worry about it, I'm just the same.
It's this incredible ability to find comedy in the most normal things, like Stacey's brunch, a surprise birthday party, or the perils of ordering a takeaway in a big group of people, that make Gavin and Stacy so universally loved.
What's that, French? Your instincts serve you well, Peter, or should I say, Pierre?
Number 13. The Young Ones.
Do not lean out of the window! I wonder why.
4 mismatched and useless students share a grotty flat together under the thumb of a sleazy landlord, railing against Thatcher, the police, and the university they attend. Responsible for making punk alternative comedy part of the mainstream, The Young Ones had as much political expression and social critique as it did jokes, music, and violent slapstick. It's nigh untouchable where student comedies are concerned.
Why don't you like me?
Because you're a complete bastard.
All of its principal cast, particularly Edmondson and Mayle, became household names as a result of the show's success, and it remains just as biting and refreshing today as it was in the 80s.
Hello, Vivian.
Piss off!
Number 12. The IT Crowd.
What is it?
This, Jen, is the internet.
The IT department at Megafilm Renham Industries is so dysfunctional it barely functions at all. Chronic slacker Roy and uber nerd Maurice are joined by a new manager Jen, who lies about her computer skills to get the job. The IT Crowd is just as adept at creating famous catchphrases as it is at far-fetched farces.
Right, Harry, did you see that ludicrous display last night?
From Jen's short-lived but unfortunately named boyfriend, Peter File, to Richmond's server room banishment, to Douglas's ineptitude after taking over the company, every episode produced something memorable. It was so good, it was even the recipient of a terrible American remake, which is how you know you've made it in British comedy. Number 11. I'm Alan Partridge.
Have you ever thought that suicide might be the answer?
Well, sometimes, aye.
Really? When?
Well, when I've seen you looking all depressed and that, you know.
Not me.
Steve Coogan is one of the UK's most recognisable comics, but he's never quite managed to get out from the shadow of Alan Partridge. Then again, why would he want to? Partridge is Coogan's most famous character, and we were given an in-depth look at Partridge's laughably pathetic life in this classic sitcom.
Go see my brother.
No way, you big spastic, you're a mentalist!
After getting fired by the BBC for punching an executive in the face, Partridge struggles to get his career back on track, and ends up presenting a show on Norwich's local radio and living in a caravan. It's a credit to Coogan and the other 2 writers, Armando Iannucci and Peter Braham, that Alan is such a joy to hate.
Needless to say, I had the last laugh.
Number 10. The Vicar of Dibley. Yes! Dawn French stars in her most famous role as Geraldine Granger, the first female vicar in a small rural English village. The partnership of French as the lead and famed writer-director Richard Curtis of giant hits like Love Actually proved to be just what TV needed. It's a warm-hearted look at Middle England, and for all Geraldine's flaws and the village's initial distrust of a female vicar, she cares deeply about the community and her parishioners.
Nothing could be hotter, nothing could be slicker. Lock up your son and daughter, 'cause here comes the vicar!
And after a long series of specials, Geraldine returned to screens for the comic relief Children in Need Big Night In to raise money for charity in 2020.
Well, my mother did always tell me never say no to a priest.
I love your mother.
Number 9. Keeping up appearances.
Richard, eject this man.
Hyacinth Bucket, or Bouquet if you like, is obsessed with class and spends all her time acting like she's better than her friends, family, and neighbours. It's this snobbish attitude, contrasted with her humble surroundings, that makes such fertile ground for comedy, as Hyacinth struggles to keep her northern working-class family hidden from the aristocrats she's desperate to impress.
Richard, you know I love my family, but that's no reason why I should have to acknowledge them in broad daylight.
Some of her trademarks include boasting about her fine china and fielding wrong number callers who believe her house is a takeaway. Unlike many other sitcoms, Keeping Up Appearances inspired a prequel rather than a sequel, where we got a closer look at what inspired Hyacinth to become such an unbearable social climber.
Why is he tying me up? Why is this child tying me up?
Number 8. Peep Show.
I'm not really here, it's research. I'm Louis Theroux.
Channel 4's longest-running scripted comedy was consistently on the air for over a decade, and all the while kept a tight focus on mismatched flatmates Mark and Jez. Mark's an ambitious, ill-adjusted loans manager, while Jez is a failing musician, and we watch the ups and downs, though it's mostly the downs, of their lives.
He's brought a dead dog into my pitch, the stupid bastard!
Peep Show's charm is the excruciating second-hand embarrassment the viewers are put through, whether it's Mark trying to seduce Sophie by doodling a swastika, or Jeremy relieving himself onto innocent wedding-goers. Few shows run for this long, and even fewer are consistently hilarious from the first moment to the last.
I mean, what am I going to do? What's going to happen here? Because, personally, I have no idea.
I really need to get to a urinal, Mark.
Number 7. Spaced.
Hi, we're...
A couple.
Tim and Daisy meet by chance and cook up a ruse where they pretend to be a couple to get a lease on a decent flat in London. Written by its stars Simon Pegg and Jessica Hines, not to mention being directed by Edgar Wright, Spaced was the progenitor of the highly successful Cornetto trilogy. Alongside Pegg and Hines are comedy veterans Nick Frost and Mark Heap, who all come to occupy the same building while getting into increasingly surreal shenanigans. Brimming with colourful characters and geeky references, Spaced is great not only because it stands on its own merits, but because it launched so many incredible careers.
Mike, I really am not in the mood.
Oh, shit!
Number 6. Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Yorkshire pudding.
This surreal sketch show was made by the country's most famous and successful comedy troupe, the so-called Beatles of comedy. The show's individual sketches have become mainstays of British pop culture. You'll struggle to find someone who doesn't understand references like the dead parrot, the Hungarian phrasebook, and wink wink nudge nudge.
Oh yes, the Norwegian blue, what's wrong with it?
I'll tell you what's wrong with it. It's dead, that's what's wrong with it.
The Pythons went on to make numerous feature films, including And Now for Something Completely Different, that collected and remade the show's best sketches. Equally memorable were moments from The Holy Grail and Life of Brian, cementing the Pythons as some of the best comics to ever work.
Arrange them nicely in the vase! Oh, get in! Get in! Get in!
Number 5. The Office.
Probably write a song about this one day.
You might not think the humdrum lives of office workers at a paper company in Slough would be very interesting or funny, but you'd be wrong. Though it ran for just 2 series, The Office isn't just one of the greatest British sitcoms, it's one of the most influential TV shows to ever air.
You wanker.
Come on.
Written by comedy legends Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant, Gervais's David Brent has since become a force of nature, and in 2016 even helmed his own feature film. But nothing compares to the magic of the original, which occupies a well-deserved place in sitcom history. Number 4, Red Dwarf.
He's a Smeeg. He's a Smeeg. Hey!
Vending machine repairman Dave Lister is locked into stasis aboard the mining ship Red Dwarf for smuggling a cat on board, but ends up trapped for millions of years due to a catastrophe that kills the entire crew except for him.
Humans? The Vindelian people despise all humans. They are the vermin of the universe. Is that not right, Bindi Badgie?
The rest of the show follows Lister, the humanoid cat, maddening hologram Rimmer, helpful android Crichton, and the senile AI of Red Dwarf. Though it was originally thought a sci-fi sitcom like this would never take off, the BBC were proven wrong. Red Dwarf hasn't been off screen since the 80s, with constant reruns, a back-to-earth special, and a revived series with updated special effects beginning on Dave in 2012.
He's Arnold, Rimmer. Without him life would be much grimmer.
Number 3, Blackadder.
He may reward us.
No, wait. I think I have an idea.
Written by Richard Curtis and Ben Elton, this historical romp took us through several formative periods in British history as we followed the schemes of Edmund Blackadder. Going down in stature with every passing generation, Blackadder begins as a duke in line for the throne and ends as a captain in the trenches of World War I.
You are a girl, and you're a girl with as much talent for disguise as a giraffe in dark glasses trying to get into a polar bears-only golf club.
Along the way, he and Baldric are joined by numerous historical figures, including Elizabeth I, the Duke of Wellington, and George IV. Blackadder's cunning plans to increase his social standing or escape from the war are legendary, and rumours that a 5th full series might one day enter production have been raging for years.
Ah! You have a woman's hand, my lord.
Number 2, Only Fools and Horses.
Don't want to laugh for the rest of my life.
Well, as long as you're happy, son.
Wheeler Dealer brothers Delboy and Rodney Trotter live in a London council flat in this comedy centred on the working classes in Thatcher's Britain. Every week, Delboy has a new plan to make them both rich, promising they'll be millionaires one day. No matter how immoral Del's plans are, or how frequently they fail, it's impossible not to root for him and Rodney.
You pelonka!
But it's not just about get-rich-quick schemes. It's also got a heart, and eventually evolves to be about Rodney and Del's wives and their growing families. It's such a staple of British pop culture that they even paid homage to it at the 2012 Olympics. Number 1, Fawlty Towers. If you've ever wondered why most British comedies only run for a few series before finishing, Fawlty Towers is the reason.
There is too much butter on those trays.
No, senor. What? Not on those trays. No, sir. Uno, dos, tres.
With only 12 episodes and no specials whatsoever, Fawlty Towers changed the face of British comedy when it aired in the 70s. Following the exploits of hapless hotelier Basil Fawlty and his ailing establishment in Torquay, every single episode, each of which took weeks to write, produced enduring jokes and moments that we've yet to forget nearly 50 years later.
Manuel! I mean, look, how can it be so difficult to get a cheese salad?
You want to run the place?
No, I just want a cheese...
shut up then.
I beg your pardon.
Its short run and unbeatable legacy have been cited by the creators of many other comedies, including The Office and The Young Ones, as the reason they ended so quickly. What comedy did we miss? Let us know in those comments below.
Listen, sweetheart, I've not got time to shoot the shit. So why don't you and your new boyfriend carry some chicken out to my office when it comes, if it ever comes.
Hey, are you alright?
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.